Good afternoon. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us where you're coming from and what brought you to Swiss Medica?
My name is Kim Zhang. I'm here for the stem cell treatment for my son, Evan. He has just turned 14 years old, and he's still very, very speech limited. And of course, the diagnosis is autism, although that we kind of thought he was more or less vaccine damaged, but so we're hoping that the treatment will help him to have any kind of improvements. This is our second time here. Our first time here was last August, and so we did notice slight improvements in his vocabulary and also his sleeping and eating schedules. So that's why we decided to give it a second round and see if there's more improvements to go.
At what age was Evan diagnosed with autism, and what kind of therapies have you tried ever since?
Evan was diagnosed with autism, I guess, officially at 4 years old. When he was a baby, he was the smartest one of our 4 kids. He at 1.5 years old, he can sing and speak in English. He can also speak in limited Korean and Mandarin Chinese. Unfortunately, that year, when he was about 22 months old, there was swine flu epidemic going through America. So our pediatrician recommended he take the newest flu vaccine at the time. And after he got the flu vaccine, the same night, he ran 103-degree fever. So for a whole week, he was running really high fever, and we had to go to the hospital, I believe 4 times that week, for them to give medication to reduce his fever, just to bring him down from the really danger point. And then after the 1 week after his fever finally subsided, he lost his eye contact, and he also lost his ability to speak. And you can see that he can still sing the words, but he just cannot speak it. So you can see that he was very, very upset and frustrated because he didn't understand why he lost the ability to speak. And then gradually, after another 3 months, he lost all ability to speak. He cannot even sing the words anymore. He can only hum the rhythm. So every day he is so frustrated, he just hum the music or the nursery rhymes. He would just hum it. Between 2 years old and 3 year old, there was occasionally 1 or 2 times that he will be able to, if I point some word, some object, and he will be able to repeat it and sing it. So we would just keep on hoping that he could overcome this injury or this situation. And unfortunately, it never happened. He was just he became completely nonverbal. And then he also lost, slowly, gradually, lost appetite to eat a lot of food. Because before he would eat everything and he would eat himself, and then we had to kind of like spoon feed him everything to kind of just get him to eat. And then the school tried all kind of speech therapy, early intervention, and everything like that, and obviously none of it yielded much progress. Finally, 3 years ago, we switched out of the regular school and we put it into the special school, and that seemed to get some improvement, and he started to speak some basic words, and he's able to, but the pronunciation is not very accurate. It's almost as though his tongue cannot really roll and move as good as a baby would. So we're hoping, and that's why when we saw even just the slightest of improvements, we want to hope that he will continue on the path to improvement.
Fingers crossed for Evan. Have you considered any other clinics before coming to Serbia, and what made us special that at the end of the day you're coming here for the second time already?
Originally, when we were searching the ad online, we found a couple clinics in India or Mumbai area. But after we speak to a couple people and we just look at the reviews of the patients who has been there, they didn't really recommend it. So that was that. And then we also looked at a couple clinics online, one in Panama and one in Mexico City. The one in Mexico City, because unfortunately we're just starting to try with younger patients, because they predominantly do sports injuries and that kind of stuff. They were just starting to do children and working with what they call autism and other delayed development stages. So we didn't want it. We weren't that comfortable with that. And the same thing with the one in Panama. And then when we looked it up, it looked like you guys actually had the longest record of working with children. So that's why we decided to try you guys out.
Yeah, looks like somehow we are familiar for autism, yeah, worldwide. You're not the first person who told me that, yeah. Can you describe a little bit about the process, how the program was chosen for your kid, and for how many days you had to stay here in Serbia?
So the program that was recommended by the physician after the initial meeting and the blood works and all that, we did the placenta, the umbilical cord, and his own blood, the enzymes curated from his own blood. So the total treatment is 3 treatments, 3 days, with I guess 2-day rest period in between. So our total stay over here is 10 days. So we have, I guess that's that.
You had the macrophages, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing why it can be finished earlier, but the macrophages are usually waited for
7 days.
5 to 8 days, 5
Yeah.
to 8, yes. Yeah, that's why it's 10 days, you're
Correct.
right. All right. A couple of words about the medical staff, about whether they're knowledgeable enough to perform this kind of treatment. Is it treatment complicated or not as complicated as you imagine?
I'm not a medical professional, so I don't know. I can't answer that question in terms of how do I believe it's really complicated, because again, I'm not a medical professional. The only thing I can say is that the staff seems very caring and gentle in terms of dealing with Evan, in terms of enjoying the treatment, especially during the treatment and whatnot. So that's another one of the reasons why we decided to come back and give a second round.
Is there any piece of advice you'd like to give to other parents?
I think one of the reasons why I chose you guys also was that you guys are pretty honest in the upfront, letting us know that because of Evan's age, there's a 50% chance we won't see any change at all. And that's, I believe they say that the statistic was that the probability, I should say, was about 45% chance we might see slight improvement, and there's 5% chance we'll see notable, more significant improvements. And so I guess Evan's kind of fall into that 45 percentile where we actually saw a slight improvement. So because of that, we are hoping that the second treatment might yield a little bit more improvement.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Kim.